Good afternoon, dear students. My name is Dr. Shuaib Mohammad Bhat. I am working as Assistant Professor in the Department of English at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. Today, in this video lecture, we shall be talking about a very important topic, that is generating talks based on visual prompts. How can we generate talks? How can we generate a dialogue? How can we generate a conversation on the basis of visual prompts when we are having some visual prompts? Or how can these visual prompts be helpful for us to generate certain talks? So this is the topic of our discussion today. So let's see how these visual prompts, how these visual aids help us in order to generate different talks. So it's not always that a person speaks with the help of his words, with the help of writing. So at many times or on many occasions, there are certain visual aids which come to help you, which help you to speak, which help you to convey your message, and which are very helpful to generate these talks. Let's see in this lecture, how can we generate talks based on visual prompts? Almost all presentations can be enhanced by effective use of visual aids. All the presentations, they can be enhanced. You can take a presentation to the next level. We can improve the standard of our presentation. We can enhance the quality of our presentation with the help of visual aids. And these visual aids, they contain handouts, they contain overhead transparencies, and they contain drawings on the whiteboard, and we have PowerPoint slides. So these are the common visual aids which we use. And visual aids are an important non-verbal aspects of your speech that you can control. It's an important non-verbal aspect of your speech. Verbal aspect is when we speak, when we use the word of mouth, when we converse with the people with the help of speaking, when we write to the people. But non-verbal is when we play some body gestures, when we use the sign language, some pictures, some photographs, some images, some gestures and postures. So visual aids, it comes under non-verbal communication, non-verbal aspects of communication, non-verbal aspects of speech, and we have control over it. It's up to us how long can we show, or how long we want to show the visual aids, how long we want to get the help from visual aids. It depends upon us. So visual aids, they are an important non-verbal aspect of communication, and these visual aids, a speaker has a control over these visual aids. So then, once you have chosen a topic, you need to consider how you are going to show your audience what you are talking about. Once you have chosen a topic, once you select a topic, you need to show your audience what are you talking about. It's better if you show them, because when we visualize things, when we portray things in a very visual manner, it becomes easier for our students, or it becomes easier for people to comprehend, to understand. Because this visual impact, it has this quality that it makes things very easier for people to understand when they are in the form of visuals. So these visual aids, they help a speaker to make his point clear to the audience so that they can understand him clearly. These visual aids, they accomplish several goals. They accomplish these several goals. What are the several goals? They make your speech more interesting. You can make your speech more interesting with the help of visual aids, with the help of an overhead transparency, with the help of handout, with the help of flip chart, with the help of PowerPoint slides. You can make your speech more interesting. Because when you are speaking for one long hour, your audience, your speaker, your listeners, they may found you sometimes like digressing. So they may not be comfortable with you because you're non-stop talking to them. But when you show them some visuals, when you convey the information through PowerPoint slides, through overhead transparencies, through flip charts, through posters, so it becomes easier for them to understand, and they will not feel bored. Rather, they will feel interesting. Then enhance your credibility as a speaker. So it is better to these visual aids, they enhance your credibility as a speaker. Because when you speak with the help of visual aids, you support your arguments, you support your dialogue, you support your viewpoints. So and you portray everything in a very very vivid manner, or in a very graphic manner. So when you portray everything in a lucid way, in a lucid manner, with the help of these visual aids, so it increases your credibility as a speaker. Serves as a guide to transition. Visual aids, they serve you, they help you as a guide to transition, because when you talk in any presentation, or you talk in any conference or in a seminar, so you are making a transaction of your ideas. You are making a transition of your ideas. You transfer your ideas from yourself to your listeners. So there you will find one more help, that is the help. That help can be provided to you by visual aids. Then, communicate complex or intriguing information in a short period of time. You can communicate most of the complex information or most of the intriguing information. You can convey that information in a short period of time, because you are not speaking it, you are showing it. When you find anything is very complex or intriguing, it's better you show its image, you show a video of that thing, so that your audience may find it easier to understand. And you can, the help which these visual aids provide to a speaker is, a speaker can save time when a speaker is dealing with these complex and intriguing ideas. So it reinforces the verbal message. The verbal message which you are speaking to the public, or which you are showing to the public with the help of reading, it strengthens that. It makes your message strong. Because obviously, as I told you, when you take the help of visual aids, so it becomes more graphic for people. People like to listen it or watch it and hear you, because you are providing them a visual with what you speak. So this quality of visual aids, it strengthens, it supports your verbal message. Then, these visual aids, they help the audience to use and retain information. Visual aids, when you provide a graph, when you provide a picture regarding any idea, regarding any thought, regarding any concept which you are portraying, which you are conveying to the audience. So this video, this picture, this graph, this image, so it helps audience to retain the information in their mind for long term. So visual aids, they help the people to retain the information for longer duration of time, or for longer period of time. And these visual aids, they add variety to your presentation by giving the audience a break from listening and letting them see something. Visual aids, they add a variety of different things to your presentation. Because this is for the first time when you use visual aids, you are giving the audience a break from listening and you are letting them to see something. What happens in the oral speaking, in the traditional mode of speaking, where we do not use visual aids, a speaker is playing the active role as a speaker only, and the listeners or the audience, they are mute listeners. They cannot talk. They cannot see anything extra, anything else. They have to pay attention to the words which the speaker is speaking. But here, with the help of visual aids, we give a chance to the listeners, to the audience, to see something rather than listening all the time. So there is a break from that routine listening to looking upon the images, watching videos, to just looking or observing different graphs or charts. So there are also these visual aids, they have their purpose, they are laying emphasis to your point, they support to your point, they bring clarity to your content. The purpose of each visual aid should be clear. When you are using a visual aid, the purpose of every visual aid should be clear. It's not like you're talking about some idea and you are in middle of that idea, in middle of your conversation. You are showing an inappropriate video. Inappropriate, I mean, which is not relevant to your talk, to your discourse. And you are showing that video to your audience. So that's of no help there, that's of no worth there, that's of no value there. Rather, that video can digress your audience from the thought which you are sharing them to some other idea, to some other thought which is there in that video, even if it is a comic video. So, whatever visual aid we are using, we should be clear about its purpose, why we are using this visual aid. How can it help my audience? How can my audience take this visual aid? Is it useful? Is it helpful? Can they understand with it? And almost should speak for itself, why it's there. If you cannot quickly grasp the purpose of a visual aid in a speech, you have to honestly consider whether it should be used in the first place or not. If you do not have the clear idea about the purpose of a visual aid in a speech, so you want to use a visual aid in your speech, but you're not aware about its purpose, why I am using it, what can it give to my listeners, then it's better one should honestly restrain oneself from using such visual aids, because we're not sure about the purpose of that visual aid. So it's always pertinent, it's always imperative to avoid such use of visual aids when we do not know the purpose of those visual aids. Visual aids, they can significantly develop the message of the speech. These visual aids, they significantly develop the message of the speech. But they must be used for a specific purpose the audience can easily recognize. Your visual aid can develop your message. The message which you want to convey to the audience, that can be developed, that can be transferred, that can be conveyed to your audience in a better manner with the help of visual aids. But these visual aids, they must be used for a particular purpose. It's not like we randomly choose visual aids and we are randomly showing them to the audience. No. These visual aids should be taken in consideration, should be used with a specific purpose so that the audience can easily recognize them. The audience can easily relate your visual aids with the content which you are delivering to them. There should not be any random picking of these visual aids. It should be goal-oriented, purpose-oriented. If you want to highlight a trend between two related issues, such as socio-economic status and educational attainment. Now, if you want to highlight a trend between socio-economic status, the social and economic status of a society, and educational attainment, how many of the people have attained education, and what is the ratio of education, a line graph might show effectively how, as socio-economic status rises, educational attainment also rises. So it can be better shown with the help of a line graph. The line graph can easily show when the social economic status rises, educational attainment will itself arise. Because when people are socially advanced, economically advanced, there are chances that there would be educational attainment. There are chances that people may be attaining education in general, on general basis. So we need to take this thing in our mind that we can use visual aids according to the specific purposes. As a given example, if we want to show the socio-economic status and educational attainment status, it's better we can show it with a line graph. So line graph can clearly indicate how socio-economic status rises, and eventually educational attainment will also rise. So this use of visual aid can provide emphasis, effectively highlighting keywords, ideas, or relationship for the audience. This use of visual aids, where we are using some graph lines in order to show the relation, in order to show the trend between socio-economic issues and socio-economic status and educational attainment. So this use of visual aid, it can provide emphasis, it can effectively highlight keywords, ideas, or relationship for the audience. So it can help us this way by emphasizing, by laying emphasis on certain idea, by effectively highlighting keywords or ideas or relationships for the audience. So this is how these visual aids can help us. Visual aids can also provide necessary support for your position. They can provide you some necessary support, because when you are defining anything which is like intriguing or complex, ambiguous, or some mysterious concept you are sharing with the audience, so you can take the help of these visual aids. You can justify, or you can clear, or you can explain any ambiguous idea with the help of a picture. Because as I told you, when you visualize things, it becomes easier for people to understand, to comprehend. So these visual aids, they provide necessary support for the position of a speaker. And your audience may question your assertion of the relationship between socio-economic status and educational attainment. So you may be asked a question by your audience. So that can also be satisfied, that can also be answered with the help of audio with these visual aids. Then clarity. Clarity is the key in the use of visual aids. Clarity. Visual aids should not make our content more ambiguous, more intriguing, more complex. Rather, it should make our content more clear. One way to improve clarity is to limit the number of words on a PowerPoint slide. One best way to improve clarity, if we want to bring clarity to our content, is to limit the number of words on a PowerPoint slide. A slide should not be replete with words, because when a slide is replete with words, it becomes difficult for the audience to learn or understand, because it gives them the feeling as if there is a lot of stuff to understand, to know. So you can bring clarity when you contain less content in a slide. Then no more than 10 words per slide with a font enough to be read at the back of the room or auditorium is a good rule of thumb. The thumb rule for making a good slide is to lessen or decrease the word count with a font, with a large font which can be easily read by the people who are sitting on the back bench in the class. So what I want to say, clarity can be brought to your content when your slides contain less content and when they are written in large fonts, which can be easily read by the people who are sitting far from you. Then, key images that have a clear relationship to the verbal message can also improve clarity. Key images. You can use some key images or that they should have a clear relationship with the verbal message. Means with the content. Key messages which you are showing, key images which you are showing, those images which have a close relationship with the content which you are expressing or conveying, they can improve clarity. Then, you may also choose to illustrate the same data successively in two distinct formats. Perhaps a line graph followed by a pie chart, two pie graphs. Your central goal is to ensure your visual aid is clear. So we can also bring clarity. For example, if we have to show the same data, we can show the same data in two distinct forms. We can use a line graph, or we can also then use a pie graph. This line graph and pie graph, we can by two pie graphs, we can show the same data by these two different aids. And our central goal is to ensure that our visual aids, they are clear. Then only they can bring clarity to the content, to the data which you are showing to the audience. Now there are some common visual aids, like we have whiteboards and interactive boards, we have flip charts, we have overhead projector, we have slides, then videos, and we have PowerPoint and other presentation software, and we have handouts. These are some common visual aids which we all are using in our presentations. Visual aids, they enhance your presentation, they can increase the understanding of your topic to the audience, they can explain points, they can make an impact and create enthusiasm. And it has become more important to make information visual. Why visual aids? Why? Because they can enhance you can enhance your presentation, as I told you earlier. They can increase the understanding of your topic. When you use visual aids, your topic can easily be understood by your audience. So you increase more chances for the audience to understand your topic. And you explain points clearly. And you make an impact and create enthusiasm. With the help of visual aids, you create an impact on the audience. And you create enthusiasm, you make them enthusiastic, energetic to learn, energetic to listen to you, to watch your slides, to listen to you. And it has become more important nowadays to make information visual. It's important nowadays because wherever you go, you will see everything is in the form of visuals, and which is quicker for people to understand, quicker for people to attain. Then visual aids are items of a visual manner, such as graphs, photographs, video clips, used in addition to spoken information. These visual aids, they are items of a visual manner. Visual aids, they are items of visual manner, visual conversation, visual dialogues, visual platform. And these are like, we have graphs, we have photographs, we have video clips, we show them. We take their help in order to make our content very easier for public to understand. And they are used in addition to spoken information. We use them to add some more information to our spoken information. And visual aids are chosen depending on their purpose. We choose these visual aids depending on their purpose. So these visual aids, they depend on their purpose. Without purpose, we cannot use visual aids. Basic purpose of visual aids could be, what is the basic purpose? Summarize information. When we use visual aids, these visual aids, they summarize our information. They give a summary of our information to the audience. We clarify and we show examples. With the help of visual aids, we clarify some doubts. We clarify or justify some intriguing ideas. And we show some examples with the help of visual aids. Create more impact. We can create more impact with the help of visual aids. We can make our speech, or I can make my lecture more impactful with the help of visual aids. Because whatever I speak, when I provide you a visual of that all, so it will retain, the information will be retained in your memory, and you will be listening to me carefully because it rises your interest to listen to me. So it makes or it creates more impact. Emphasize what your argument is. It emphasizes your argument. It makes your argument very credible. People listen you carefully and make a point memorable. When we use visual aids, we bestow our content a quality that it can be retained in the memory by the people, because these visual aids, they help people, or they become a reason for the people to understand, to retain the information. Then enhances your credibility. Visual aids enhance your credibility. With the help of visual aids, you are providing some facts, you are providing some information, you are providing some background, you are providing some examples, and all this stuff makes your talk credible. All this stuff makes you credible. Engage the audience and maintain their interest. You can better engage the audience with the help of visual aids, because your audience will not feel dull when you show them proper visual aids. Make something easier for the audience to understand. Visual aids, they make something. They make all the ideas, whether they are complex or intriguing, they make these ideas easier for the public to understand, easier for the people to understand. And preparation and the use of visual aids. What is the preparation and how can we use visual aids? The preparation means, how can we prepare for visual aids? Think about how can a visual aid support your message. What do you want the audience to do? When we are preparing for visual aids, because we are generating talks by these visual prompts which we are using for our presentation, because these visual aids, they are generating ideas. It's not like I use visual aids in order to beautify my slides, in order to show people how skillful I am when it comes to technology, in order to show people like how do I know different things because of these visual aids. No, we should first think about how can a visual aid support your message, because this visual aid has to generate a talk. It will talk in spite of you. So how can a visual aid support your message? First, in order to prepare for the visual aids, first we should understand this thing. How can a visual aid support my message? Then, what do you want the audience to do? When you are showing them a visual aid to the audience, what do you want them to do? Should they laugh? Should they think? Should they ask you questions? Or could they be just satisfied? Could they be silent? So one should know the purpose first. Then, ensure that your visual aid follows what you are saying on this, or this will confuse the audience. Ensure one thing, that your visual aid, it follows what you are saying. Your visual aids, they should correlate with your content, what you are speaking. It should not be an irrelevant this visual aid, or this because this will then confuse the audience. If it is not according to our speech, according to a dialogue, it will obviously confuse the audience. We may be talking about something else, but we are showing people something else. That will create confusion. Avoid cluttering the image, as it may look messy and unclear. It's not good to clutter the message. If you clutter the message, what will happen? It may look messy and unclear. You will lose that clarity if you are cluttering the messages. Then, these images, visual aids must be clear, concise, and of high quality. Your visual aids, they must be clear. There must be clarity. They must be concise, brief, short, and they must be of high quality. Keep the style consistent, such as the same font, color, positions, etc. And you should keep the style consistent. In one slide, the font is large, and in the other slide, the font is smaller. It may not mean anything to you. It may not mean anything to you. But when your audience reads it, it may mean something to them. They may consider that the slides having large font are more important, and the slides having small font are less important. So it's always better to maintain the same font and same color or positions for your slides. Use graphs and charts to present data. In order to present the data, it's always better to use graphs and charts. The audience should not be trying to read and listen at the same time. Use visual aids to highlight your points. Your audience, they should not just read and listen to you at the same time. Because when you are showing a slide, many of the audience will read the slides. It's better you put the use of visual aids in such a way so that they can highlight your points. Audience should not read it like as if there is a paragraph written on an idea. One message per visual aid. For example, on a slide, there should only be one key point. It's better that one visual aid contains one idea. Or like one slide should contain one key point. Then, one visual aid in moderation. Use visual aids in moderation. They are additions meant to emphasize and support main points. So we should use visual aids in moderation. Why? They are additions meant to emphasize and support main points. Because they will support your main point and they will emphasize your main point. Ensure your presentation still works without your visual aids in case of technical problems. Ensure one thing, when you are preparing for visual aids, you should ensure one thing, that your presentation should still work. It should not stop if your visual aids fail in case of some problems, some technical problem. So we should not be wholly and solely dependent on the visual aids. Sometimes there may be some technical glitch or technical problem. So you should you should go on without the support of visual aids. Now, during the presentation, it was the previous two slides, they were about preparation. Now, during the presentation, ensure that the visual aids can be seen by everyone in the audience. When you are using the visual aids, you should ensure one thing, that your visual aids are visible to everyone in the audience. Face the audience most of the time rather than the image. Now you are showing a visual aid. For example, from back side there is a system. So you should not continuously look upon that image. Rather, you should face the audience. You should have a face-to-face interaction with the audience. You should not continuously look upon that image. Avoid reading from the visual aid. It's not good to always read from the visual aid and stick with the visual aid. For example, I read a statement, then I explain it. No, it's not good if I kept on reading and reading and reading. So I cannot bring, this visual aid cannot bring me the clarity then. It's of no use then. So we should avoid always reading from the visual aids. Now, as soon as you show the visual aid, the audience's attention will be drawn to it. So you must immediately explain it. When you show the visual aid to your audience, this is human nature, your audience will read it. So it's very important, as soon as we show the visual aid, we should explain it immediately. So otherwise you will be ignored if you talk about something else. When we show a slide, a written material to the audience, if we do not talk about the written material, we can be ignored because the audience is reading the slide. So it's always better when you show any visual aid to the audience, explain it immediately so that you can maintain that connection. You can maintain that two-way transport which is happening between you and your audience. Make it clear to the audience why you are using it. Your audience should know why you are using the visual aid. And when you no longer need the visual aid, ensure that audience cannot see it. And when you are not using the visual aid, ensure one thing, it's not visible to the audience. Because if it is visible to the audience and you're not using it, again it will make a digression. Your audience may be focusing on the visual aid rather than your talk, rather than your discourse. What are the different types of visual aids? There is a variety of different types of visual aids, and you must decide which will suit your presentation and your audience. Visual aids should be chosen while taking in mind the audience, what sort of visual aid is fit for the audience and fit for your presentation. Number one is PowerPoint. Microsoft PowerPoint is widely used for presentations. Why? Because it's easy to create attractive and professional presentations. The first visual aid is Microsoft PowerPoint. It's widely used because it's easy to create professional presentations and it's simple to modify, recognize content compared to the other visual aids. And this visual aid, it allows us to modify the content, to recognize the content if we compare it to the other visual aids. It should have a clear and simple background. This Microsoft PowerPoint should have a clear background, simple background, so that your audience may not be evaded by the colorful background. Then, avoid using different types of fonts or font sizes. Font size should be similar. We should not use different font sizes. Use animations for a purpose. If we are using animations, they should be used for a purpose, like to reveal the stages of a process. Otherwise, this can be distracting and will look amateurish, or it will look unskillful. The word has two pronunciations, amateur and amateur. So it will look very unskillful, unprofessional if we do not make the good use of animations, because it will distract the audience. Use a large font size, minimum 24. Use bullet points to summarize key points, and consider providing handouts of diagrams because the audience will find the diagrams easier to read. It's always better to provide handouts of diagrams because audience will feel it useful, helpful and easier to read. Avoid putting too much content on a slide. Slides must not be overloaded with content. Avoid using red or green text as it is difficult to read. Sometimes in certain conditions, in certain situations, it may not be applicable in all the situations. Red and green text cannot be read, but it can be easily read. You need to check the situation. There should only be one key point for each slide. Every slide must have a single key point. Always have a backup plan in case there is a technical issue and you cannot show the visuals. For example, bring handouts or a poster. We should always have a second plan, backup plan, because if there is any technical problem with the PowerPoint, Microsoft PowerPoint, we should have some other thing like handouts or a poster. Whiteboard is also important. It's useful for providing further explanation, such as showing the order of a process, creating diagram, or explaining complex words or phrases. Whiteboard can be used for these three purposes. Ensure one thing, that enough time has passed for the audience to take notes before rubbing something. When you are writing something on the whiteboard, you need to keep one thing in your mind, that you have given some space, some time to the audience to note down the points before you rub them. Then, write concisely to avoid facing away from the audience for too long. It's better to write briefly, write shortly. Handwriting must be large and legible. Your handwriting must be legible. It must be understood by the people. Practice beforehand, as you may feel nervous about writing in front of the audience. It's always better to practice writing beforehand so that you may not feel nervous before the audience. Handouts are also there. Handouts, they are papers that contain key information from your presentation, or they may provide further information. Handouts are like, these are the documents which contain extra information or some main information about your presentation, or they sometimes contain extra information as well. We should provide these handouts to the audience partially. We should provide audience completed handouts so that they have to listen to what you are saying to be able to fill the gaps. So that they will have to listen. It should be partially completed, not completed. Because when your audience listens you, when your audience listens you, they should pay some attention to fill the gaps. They should try to find out the skipped information which you have not contained in these partially completed handouts. And you should provide the audience graphs and charts. Beforehand is also beneficial because the audience will find them easier to read than from a slide. It's better to provide charts and graphs beforehand to the audience so that they can read in spite of reading from the slides. Video clips, again one thing, it's very important to use video clips. They increase the interest of the audience, and we should use video clips to bring motion, images and audio into your presentation. When we use video clips, it brings emotion, images and audio into our presentation. We need to take care of these things. Ensure that all videos used are relevant to the presentation content. All the videos should be relevant to the content. Never show a long video, show only necessary portion of the video clip. We should not show long videos. We should show relevant videos, short videos which are related to the talk. Videos can be difficult to fit into the structure of a presentation. So ensure you tell the audience why you are showing them a clip and tell them what to look for. Sometimes it is difficult to structure a video into the presentation. So it's always better to inform audience what to look from a particular video. Then inform the audience how long the video will last. It's better to tell people in advance that what is the length of the video. We have flip charts. Again, it's a very low cost and low tech solution to record and convey information. So before your presentation, place the flip chart in a location that you can easily access. It should be at a location where we can easily access it. We have to flip the chart. These are different charts which we show the people by flipping them. Prepare any sheets you can in advance, even if you can only write down the headings. It can only contain the headings. It's not essential. It should contain a lot of material. It's better to have only one idea on a sheet, and the writing should be legible there. It should not be written in an ambiguous writing. We should check whether the audience, they can read the text, and we should not use a flip chart if there is a large audience because it cannot be visible to the people. And it's better to write in black and blue ink. Red ink is good for circling and underlining. It's always better to have this blue inked or black inked material on the flip charts. Write notes for yourself beforehand so you remember what to include. Always better to write notes for ourselves. Flip back through the sheets so to consolidate points. To consolidate the points, we can flip back. Practice writing on flip chart advance as you may feel nervous at the time of presenting. It's better to practice writing on the flip charts in advance so that we may not feel nervous at the time of the speech. There are posters. We can also show posters to the audience. So one poster should contain one message. We can make our posters more attractive by the color, by block capitals. We should avoid using posters when presenting to a large audience, because it cannot be visible to the people. Then there are some key points for visual aids. It's better to practice keep these visual aids in hand, and it's better to go with the good color. Use colors because colors increase people's motivation. So this is all about today's topic: generating talks based on visual prompts. I hope you all have understood it. If you want to go with extra material, these are the books. You can get more information. Thank you for listening. Thank you very much.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.